So, the book that I chose for the Newbery Award winner is The Hundred Dresses by Eleanor Estes, and it is illustrated by Louis Slobodkin. It was copyrighted in 1944, so I think that is a testament to how relevant the themes in this book are for it to still be used in today's classrooms many, many years later. I thought this was an outstanding book. It is 80 pages longer, so it is a chapter book, but it is intended for age group 6 to 10 years old. The text in this book is very simple, yet it conveys a very powerful and relatable message. I highly recommend this book. So, as we can open, I'll show you guys a few of the illustrations. I would say half of the book is in color. They are all sketch type drawings throughout the book, but as you can see, I would say half of it is black and white, and then some portions of it, there's black and white. Here, for example, is a very beautiful watercolored sketch drawing. The illustrations do not have faces on the people, so I found that to be interesting, but then I also thought that could possibly be to encourage students to kind of formulate their own imaginative description of what that person could look like and kind of picture in their head, bring to life what they assume their favorite character in the story could be like. Some themes in this book really touch on bullying. They touch on forgiveness. They touch on standing up for what's right. Just a lot of really relatable messages for fourth graders, which the girls in this story are fourth graders. So I'll get started. Wanda Petronsky. It's a hard name to pronounce, but she is the main character. She is a Polish girl who is attending an American school. She's in the fourth grade. She comes from a very poor family. She lives with her dad and her brother way out in Boggins. It's outside of Boggin Heights. It's outside of town in the country, and it's just a very poor neighborhood. She comes to school with dirty shoes every day, and she wears the same blue dress every single day. The girls don't necessarily make fun of her for that aspect. That might lead as to why they start making fun of her, but they start really teasing her when she mentions that she has 100 dresses at home. And the girls are, this girl wears the same dress at school every day. She doesn't have 100 dresses at home. Well, a girl named Peggy, who is the most popular girl in school, she really takes on that, and she starts teasing Wanda. Every day, it becomes a game to her. She waits for her on the way to school, and I think at one point in the book, it describes Peggy as a girl who is typically very nice. She was known for standing up for younger children. She was known to cry and be deeply saddened by the death of an animal, yet she teased this girl. And it even says that had she been confronted that she was teasing her, she probably wouldn't have even noticed she was doing it, which I think would be very eye-opening for a lot of children. I think a lot of people are personally guilty of that. They don't realize how hurtful they're being, and I think this book will help children really evaluate, well, wow, maybe when I think I'm making fun of them and it's funny and everyone's laughing, their feelings are actually getting hurt. So I think that brings that to light and helps children really evaluate that aspect of bullying. Then the next main character would be Maddie, which is Peggy's best friend, which her role in the story is she is feeling very conflicted as to whether or not she should tell Peggy to stop. She knows it's wrong, but she doesn't want that to turn on her because she also comes from a very poor family. So rather than the teasing be pushed onto her, she'd rather Wanda endure it. But she does feel very conflicted about it, and even goes to write a note to Peggy at one point. I think a great moral that children can learn from Maddie's role is that we have a responsibility to stand up for what's right. And if we see someone being teased or tormented, excluded, it's our responsibility to stand up for what's right even when it's hard. And Maddie did not do a good job of that. So I think she shows an example of the consequences that can come from that. Wanda eventually ends up, after the teasing, moving schools. Her dad, her, and her brother moved towns because they were being picked on. So I think it really helps students evaluate, well, hey, that's not right. And rather than just sit silently, I need to stand up for that student. I need to stand up for that person. The book, Wanda doesn't really have 100 dresses, but she does have 100 pictures. And there was a contest where the girls had to enter pictures of dresses, and she ended up entering 100 of them. she wasn't there to receive her award because her and her dad and her brother had moved because of the bullying. So Peggy and Maddie felt really bad and they went to go apologize, but she had already left and moved town, so they left a note, not knowing whether Wanda ever received this. Maddie felt very guilty, but it was too late at that point. She didn't stand up for what was right when she had the opportunity. So later on in the story, Wanda writes a letter back to the class and wants the teacher to give Peggy and Maddie two specific drawings. And these drawings were pictures of them. And while Peggy was very oblivious to the fact that Wanda was very hurt and she was teased by all of her taunting, Peggy thinks that Wanda just loves them because she gave her that picture. But Maddie is thinking a little more clearly, and she sees, no, I feel very guilty. I did not stand up for what was right, and I think it's a great message children can take away. The activity that I had going along with this would be called the kindness movement. And I think that this book does a very good job of encouraging us to be more intentional in our kindness towards others. And I would like to further that on into real life. So my assignment would be that the children need to write down a way that they can be intentionally kind towards someone in their lives that they don't normally interact with. So whether that be the woman at the crosswalk, or the cafeteria woman, or a girl they see alone at recess. I want them to write down what their action plan is to promote kindness and the act of kindness that they will try to do. They have 1 week, and at the end of that week, they need to write a reflection. What did they do? Who did they choose to be kind to? How did that make them feel? Was it uncomfortable? Well, I mean, it's definitely out of their comfort zone if they don't normally interact with this person. And then they would also need to describe that person's reaction and then how they are going to further spread kindness past this assignment. I think the book is so relevant because bullying is very real, modern day and past tense. It's something that I don't think we will ever completely get over. But as teachers and educators, we can really encourage our students to be intentional in their kindness towards others. And so that would be my takeaway from this book.